seconds. Wish this would come out further too. With it. Hello. George, you ready? Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the March 18th, 2025 Town of Monroe Planning Board regular meeting. Our secretary is out this evening, so I will start to my left. If you would just say your name and that you're here.
Albert Garstack here.
Jeff Manson here.
Bonnie Franson here.
Lou Rivera here.
Lynn Penn here.
With that, we have a quorum and can conduct business. Fire exits, there are two in front of me to the rear of the audience, another to my left out by the foyer, the main entrance into the building, and then another to that side, which leads to a patio on the side of the building. With that, let's all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag All right, with that, we're going to start with returning projects. First item on the agenda is Target expansion. If the representatives would come up. Hello? And just make sure your microphone should be on, but
Yeah, you can hear me?
yes.
Casey Lieberman with Kimley Horn here as Target's owner representative on behalf of the drive-up expansion and going back to the Target remodel exterior improvements that were discussed last time.
Welcome. So if you want, are at this point, our last meeting.
Yes, so I'll start with the remodel. We had an agreement that since we're moving drive-up to the side of the building, based off of the board's recommendations, we could expedite getting the ARB approval revised just to show that the drive-up wall sign is being moved from the front of the building to the side of the building. So it's directly across from where the new drive-up area is going to be. So I included elevations that you could pull up, but it's really just showing that the drive-up wall sign is moving. Signs of the facade, and that construction is starting tomorrow. So I'm not too sure how paperwork would work for that one, but that's the first point I wanted to bring up.
So these are the elevations.
Correct. And you could see on, I think it says right elevation, that's the new placement of the drive-up wall sign based off of the board's recommendation to move drive-up to the side.
To the side.
Yes. And that elevation, the bottom right, that's not store specific. That's just a generic image. But if you go back a couple pages earlier and zoom in, you can see the actual elevation of this building. Yeah, if you zoom in there. Yes, that other picture was just coincidentally very similar.
You guys have decided to move, instead of having everybody cross the street, go out that side door.
Yes, yeah, and I could get into it. So when we were here last month, it was specifically for the drive-up expansion, and we had planned to just expand the in-place drive-up with other safety improvements, but it seemed that the board preferred having it on the side of the building, because then the employees don't even have to fully walk across the main drive aisle. And so we took back those comments. I got Target's okay. We got all the design teams on board, and we were able to make that switch as shown. So the purpose of the drivable sign was to have it really just be directionary for customers. When you pull into the parking lot, you can find exactly where to go. Doesn't have any implication on traffic, slow anyone down. So moving the parking spaces required moving the sign too, which we had already gotten approved back in October. So yeah, just looking to get both approved. And I don't know if you want me to go back through I submitted a comment response that hits all of Sean's technical comments, and I also added a section that has to do with the comments that we discussed that came from the board. I'm not sure if it got distributed to you guys, or if you want me to go through each of them, or what you
Did
prefer.
receive the
Okay.
planning board. First start with our consultant comments to see if they have anything in addition based on this current plan.
Okay.
So I'll start with Sean.
Sure, so nothing significant. I had a couple questions on how the existing striping was going to be removed. I had a couple lighting comments, and one to point out to the board. So the lights are proposed to be 4,000 Kelvin color temperature, understanding that the board typically would like to see between 27,000, but it's my understanding that the existing lights are 4,000. So it's probably more important to match the existing color rather than try to update to get the lights to be 2,700 or 3,000. Couple clarification notes and call outs for the plans. Making sure that the parking stall lengths meet the town code and are called out as such. And then lastly, I guess I had a miss on my end. I don't believe I received what I saw that you had submitted, the electronic versions of the elevations. I don't think I received those in the hard copy, so I had a comment asking for you to provide those, but if you've already provided them, then that's a moot point. So
Ashley, any comments?
It classified it as type 2 under seeker. It does require referral to the county, so that'll need to be done. I would just ask, previously you gave a narrative, I don't know if it was in one of your letters or just explaining the number of spaces that you were restriping and what you were converting to, if you could just update that.
Yeah.
So that could be incorporated into the ultimate resolution.
Okay.
The entity disclosure form, section B needs to be filled out by Target. I think you had filled it out identifying yourself,
Yeah,
but if you could
I
update
sent
that.
a revised one.
Oh, you did? Okay. Last time I'd asked for a signage table. I don't know if the beacons are being considered signage since they have words on them. So if you could add an updated signage table showing calculations for the existing and all proposed.
Scroll up, Bonnie.
I think section B, it had identified the engineering information instead of Target.
One that I
Yeah.
have in the March still has Kimley Horn.
I think the last time around we were on page 1, and I swapped that one to Target. I'm mixing them up, but
Yeah, this is in my March folder. This is what I would have received.
I think you updated the first page, but not the second page.
okay. First page supposed to be Target. Second page is
Both are
supposed
supposed to be Target, yeah.
Understood. Okay, we'll do that. When you were referring to a signage table, where did you want that? I don't know.
And just like a bulk table showing the calculation for the signage that's allowed and then what's existing and what's being proposed to be added. I think they had one on their prior architectural.
it was evaluated last.
So it would really just be, nothing's changing the sign, the drive-up sign's not changing size. So that would be the same as your last submission. It would just be if those beacons that I think have some words on. That was it.
All right, I'll start to my left. Bob, anything?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Actually, one question per the signage. So the bulk table, do you want that to include beacons and wall signage, or just everything?
So I have an email out to the building inspector with regards to another application similar question. Once I get that determination on whether or not that should be included as signage, I can let you know.
Okay.
Include that in the table. Regardless, I don't think there's an issue because of the amount of signage you're allowed, but we just want to make it clear for the record.
Okay, understood.
So I had an opportunity to take a couple of trips over to Target since our last meeting. I was there on February 22nd, a little bit before 4 in the afternoon. The store was relatively busy for winter months. Took a few pictures, which I had a chance to review today. So my observations about that were where we were formerly looking to expand, as I suspected, that row was well taken up with cars going well back into the lot. There was one car in the pickup slots at that point. I also took a look at where you're now proposing to move the project to. Up against the building, the first 14 spots, 2 of them are open. As I suspected, that's also a fairly popular area of the lot to park. I do agree that it is a safer location. One of the things I did observe was exactly what I described to you last time, where a Target employee was not going to walk down the side of the building to the proposed new ramp and cross the lot in the way that the crosswalks are. I feel that in the new plan, those crosswalks will do the exact same thing. What the Target employee did was come out the front door and angle directly to the car that they were walking to. It's just human nature. And my feeling is that this is similar. So I have a concern about where the crosswalks are or why they're there. Someone is going to come off that curb and go to those first 4 spaces rather than walking along the side of the building, through that first crosswalk, and then back along that side. And I'm not even sure that that's necessarily the safest place for the crosswalk when we have a stop sign at the end of that row, and you could be crossing to the far side, on the far side of the stop sign where people have to stop, and it's the path of convenience for people. Obviously, I do think that Target employees will go down the side of the building if they're going to one of those spaces. Again, it's convenient, but when you're getting to the parking space on the far side, I don't think that the crosswalks are truly representative of where the employees are going to be safest and what their behavior is going to be. The row behind that, just to the west of that, not right up against the building, was virtually empty.
Referring to this one?
I am, yes, thank you, Bonnie. I consistently observe in my trips to Target that row is relatively empty, that most of the portion of the parking lot where Tesla is planning on putting in their chargers or proposing to put in their chargers is empty. When I was there that afternoon, all the spots that would potentially be Tesla charging stations were completely empty. Again, you could come off the side of the building, have the crosswalk go directly across the way that an employee is going to go, and then come around the landscape aisle and then down that row. I believe that's the safest option, and I believe it's the most sensible option, not only for the pickup customers, keeping them out of a main drive line, because whether that turns into that or not, cars are going to be going, quite a few cars are going to be going back and forth along that row. So my feeling is, by moving it one row over, running this crosswalk on the far side of the stop sign and along the landscape strip, where the employees would have to go with their cart, now they're in a safer part of the parking lot with less traffic. And so I still bear that thought. I understand that that may not be the prevailing feeling of the board, but I wanted to express that again.
So to understand, you would then remove parking space building you would remove parking spaces that are nearest the building, allow the ones that are across from them next to the landscape aisle, and then add additional on the west side? Yeah, please. We need a laser pointer.
We'll get right on that. I'm just going to angle this a little bit over, if I can, so Casey can see as well. Well, it doesn't really want to do that. So, thank you, George. Rather than this be the pickup, this would be the pickup and across from there.
Oh, all right.
You would run a crosswalk here. This is a stop sign. And there's a stop sign here. So a safer path, because cars have to stop here, rather than here where cars are in motion, you would bring them across along the landscape strip to here. You would run across, you would run a crosswalk all the way along there. Now you're in the row, and you're either going to come down this side to the car that you're going to, or you're going to angle across where it would be appropriate to have an angled crosswalk to the spots here and service those cars. It's quicker, it's safer, and it leaves these prime spots for the customers who are using them already frequently.
Comments?
Oh, that's it.
Well, so I did have a chance to go to Target. I met with Caitlin, met her. I do think, so let's get this straight. This new proposal is the row, right,
Against the building?
up against the building,
Yeah.
and the one across. I think it's a perfect layout. I think that's fine. I think it's safe. I think it's close. I think the employees, most people are probably going to park in those spots anyway to pick up their merchandise. They'll be in and out. I think it's fine the way it is. It's my take.
Dylan?
Forgive me if you've covered this already, but the number of drive-up spots is driven by what?
Statistics.
Okay.
I could get numbers for you though if you want me to.
Uh,
No reason.
You know, they understand how many spots they want, so I was just thinking, do we need that second row, or can you extend that first row along the building to keep that as parking? But I'm aligned with both observations. I'm good with what the board wants.
So it's a total of 12 spaces you're converting? That's what's in that one area? I think that's what I count. 2, 4,
double check.
6, 2, 4, 6.
A reason that you guys just do 12 spaces down. Customer,
Sorry, which area?
I'm not sure it's for the customers. I think it's the person who's going to bring out. Right, because the customer's just coming up and parking.
They're staying in their car.
Right, but it's are you trying to minimize the distance that someone coming out of the store has to walk?
Yes.
So I think that's why they put the rows of spaces, they aligned them, the ones that are closest to the door, and they're coming out, is it coming out the door here on the side? Or is there another door?
Yeah, there's that side door.
This one here.
Part of the main entrance, yeah, there's no other.
looking at distances, it's 25 feet from the back of each car to each car. And the spaces, according to this map, are 6 feet. Oh, no, I apologize. That's the walkways. Do we know how wide each space is? Probably 10 feet.
It
would
meets
guess.
the code standard, which is,
The minimum's 8.
so that it says that all these are 9 feet wide. Typical is 9 feet by.
Usually 9 is by 18.
So going
And,
by,
and just so to be aware, they double up the parking spaces, and then on either side of those double parking spaces, they have a no parking area.
sorry, say that again?
So if you look at the map, see here this
Yeah.
hatched pattern? these are no parking areas. So along either side of a couplet, they have a no parking area. And I guess that's to load up.
That's
Yeah.
where the employees will push the carts into, because you get to choose like what window
Right,
your order gets dropped in, if you want your trunk window, wherever, so.
right. So it's, I mean, there's a safe buffer where they're operating and bringing out the goods along sides of the cars.
I get
Yep.
that. What I'm saying is, if you look at this, I think there'd be minimal amount of difference between putting 12 spaces down one aisle and having people go from, let's call where the bottom 25-foot and 6-foot area is, to across. I bet that the difference in footage would be less than 10 feet total, as opposed to having 12 going straight down one aisle with nobody crossing traffic.
I think the difference.
Right, Sean? You're an engineer.
I understand what you're saying, that's why I'm nodding.
Okay.
So what's happening, I think what lengthens it, if you put all of them up against the wall, they have those no parking zones as well. So I think by virtue of that, you are adding additional distance. Yeah.
Someone's going up to the second row. I bet the walk from the door, getting that 20. Ever in the form of traffic. If that matters to anybody.
So I'm going to suggest, so I am okay with where they're shown. I understand both proposals in terms of what's been expressed by Jeff and what's expressed by the applicant. I think either way, this is probably superior in some ways to having to go across the street in either instance. But I am going to say that this is the main drive aisle to come in. So, people either loop around to get to the other stores or they come this way. And so I think in some way it would be useful. This is, I guess, what is this, about 25 feet across? I wonder if it does need like a little traffic table to slow things down before they hit that area. I don't know if you notice whether, some people speed in. It just is what it is.
I did notice there's a trucks only sign to go in through that entrance though. So technically only trucks are allowed to go in right there.
Everybody goes in there.
I know, but just saying,
Yeah, I mean, if you go out here, they're definitely coming. This is the truck entrance. I don't think it's
to go in the
limited to.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not limited to trucks. It's just saying, by the way, the trucks come back here.
Yeah.
So this is a main entrance. It's the quickest way. There's another access here, but then you have to kind of loop around and come into the parking. There are people who would prefer to just shoot in here, and then the first aisle that's open, because you have this landscaping in here, is boom, down this way. So I would question or wonder whether there's some visual cue, whether there's something that can be added if it remains here.
I could do a yield for pedestrian sign or anything like that. I've gotten yield signs approved in the past.
I like this because I think this is very visual.
Okay.
What about a speed, you mentioned a speed bump, right?
Yeah, but I like speed bumps. I also like just this concrete because to me this is very visual when you expect people and pedestrians to be walking toward the parking areas over that concrete pad. So I almost would love if somehow there could be some kind of texture, some kind of something similar that would let you know, that you're
Yeah.
hitting that area.
I don't know if they would agree to concrete just because there's no pavement improvements happening.
Yeah.
But happy to
I
weigh other
ask
options.
into the mic, Can I ask, how about another stop sign right before we get to this area? So that people can rush in there, but then they have to stop before they continue past these 12 spots.
I wouldn't mind that. I don't know if that's, because it's going to stick at the end of a, you can't put it at the end of a parking space, so it's going to end up being like on the side. I don't know if they're going to see it, but maybe some kind of yellow hatch pattern with a stop. Or maybe, I guess if it had a stop bar,
Or-
if there was a stop bar. 'Cause
Or
you-
similar, I don't know if anybody's been to Adams in Middletown or Newburgh. They have crosswalks with, they're essentially movable, yield to pedestrian signs with the rubber bottoms.
I know what you're
I was picturing it differently, but yeah, something like that.
There's also these guys. This?
That one,
That's
yes.
it.
That, would let you know that there are pedestrians coming across. Perhaps
Yeah.
that's
Adams?
It's Adams and Newburgh.
Newburgh.
Yeah, I think we need something.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
to
that we could do.
slow, if it's going to stay there, to slow people who are going to come in through that entrance. To give them a visual cue that you're hitting an area where there's a lot of activity.
Okay. Yeah, that one will be an easy yes. That's an MHECD sign. I think it's R4B, so we'll be good there.
I would like something maybe painted, so if you could just look
Yeah.
to see what's available, a little beyond that. But that definitely helps.
All right, I'll try for painted, but
Or
definitely have
both,
that
yeah.
yeah, or both. Okay.
In your, am I on? Yeah. In your drawings, you're showing the hash marks going across. They are going to be painted on, in the driveway, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going from no parking area to no parking area.
Yeah.
They put them here. I mean, in theory, you could put them across here, but then
We
it's
just didn't want to disrupt
it's
the
too
stop
close
sign
to the stop.
striping.
Yeah, to the stop sign markings. So are the majority okay with this location with the additional pedestrian enhancements?
I am.
You don't have to be.
Again, I'm not necessarily. However, I do readily believe in the parking, the traffic slowing devices or other. I actually agree with you in my observation. The slightly elevated concrete in front of the door works very well. Traffic still flows easily, but people definitely slow way down. Right, it's that visual reminder. This area is designated for people to cross over. So I do think that works. I did have another comment, another question, if I may. So I did a little asking at my employer just to understand the nature of, we were talking a little bit about how much of that pickup traffic is done by people going out to the cars and delivering there versus how much is customers coming in and picking it up in the store. In my store, the vast majority of it is going out the door to the customers rather than the customers coming in, as opposed to what I had previously suspected based on my observations. So I did confirm that most of the pickup is done in the parking lot. The question I have is, I noticed on my last trip that the entire area, as you first walk into the Target, on the right-hand side where the pickup area is and where the curbside orders go out from, is under significant renovations, and it's looking to at least reorganize it, if not expand it. Do you know anything about what's going on with that and how that's going to affect this project as well, or?
They're
that's not-
linked. That's what I got approved when I was here in October. That's the store remodel. So that's
This
all
is-
through
well,
building.
it's through
but
the interior of the
and
store.
exterior. So I was here for exterior, but
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to Ben in the building department. But it'll be part of their building permit that they have there. I don't know the floor plans off the top of my head, but that's the construction that's starting right now.
Not so much in relation to what we're approving and not, but just to understand how they're changing the functionality of that from what I've observed in the past was my only question.
I can't speak to that.
Okay, that's fair.
So when we talk about pedestrian and traffic calming devices, we're talking about here, correct? Somewhere back here if we leave it in the spaces. I almost wish, although I don't think this is going to be a huge benefit, that you could bring this concrete apron across and then align these all up and then have that as a way to get over. But that's really not serving the purpose. The purpose is to get them as they're coming in and speeding. Going out is less of a concern, it's the coming in. And there's already a stop here. But if people are leaving, they should also just know that this is, again, pedestrian. So another pedestrian little warning somewhere around here would be good too.
Okay.
All right? So I'm okay with this. Lou, you were okay with this? Dylan, you were either way, I think. So I think we're going to move forward with this. Just a quick suggestion is, this is saying Town of Monroe Planning Board subdivision site plan approval, if you'll take out the word subdivision.
Got it.
So next steps, you'll do some enhancements. By the way, just in this image, there's a lot of parking carts over here.
Yeah,
And-
I could see if I could use a different aerial, but
Yeah, and if you look at, there's supposed to be one of those.
a car cross. Yeah, and there is one where the spots are, but we're gonna relocate it just a couple spots over. So yeah, I don't know why.
Why
They're all
there.
over the place in that picture, but that one is there. I checked today.
It is, okay, all right.
And it was a lot better looking than that photo that we used.
Now, it doesn't matter to have one there, though, because
Yeah.
you're going to be having the delivery, so
Yeah, we'll
you'll
move
probably
it.
have to flop it or put it somewhere
Yeah.
else. Okay,
We'll put it where it makes sense, definitely.
okay. So next steps, it has to go off to the county. Do we need to have any kind of public hearing, or did we waive it already?
It's discretionary on site plan. I believe did you discuss it for this one? It was either this one or the Tesla, I think. I believe you indicated you didn't think it was necessary. You don't need to formally waive it because it's just something you can require.
Does anybody feel strongly that we need to have any kind of public hearing on this? No?
No.
No. Okay, so no public hearing. When you update the maps, if you would, we'll then send it to the county? Okay? Send them to Noreen. I got to figure out how to go in there and send them if she hasn't returned by that time.
Do it through the county's portal. I don't have her login.
That's
I
true.
could try to do it, with
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. So if you send, do you have Ashley's email?
Yes.
Okay, so if you send to Ashley, she can log it in, just so we don't create a little delay there.
The revised CDs.
There are revised plans.
Okay.
Yep, that we can send off to the county.
With the revisions you discussed today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think that's about all we can do this evening, yes?
Prepare a resolution for when they're back before you, when you have the county.
With Ashley? Yes?
Yes.
Of
Vote on it.
consensus.
You usually do, I think. Motion to authorize planning board attorney to prepare a resolution.
So I'll make a motion that we authorize our planning board attorney to prepare a resolution that would approve the proposed changes to the target parking area. May I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to note that,
That'll include amended ARB as well for that sign relocation.
putting Jeff in. I heard him first. All right. If we'll go down from left to right, if you say your name and aye or nay.
Robert Garstack, aye.
Jeff Manson, aye.
Bonnie Franson, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Dylan Penn, aye.
All right, so the motion passes with one of our members filling in, record reflect that Louis.
Awesome, thank you. And also, just for the ARB, is there anything else you need from me, just to get that pushed through, just for the ARB approval?
I don't think so. I think it'll just be part of this resolution.
Okay.
I think it will be part of the site plan, because you have ARB when you're doing site plan, so rather than doing a separate application, I think you just wrap it as this done.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is O&R substation. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just state your name again for the record and perhaps give us an overview of what's changed.
Sure. Hi, my name is Leslie Snyder. I'm a partner in the law firm of Snyder and Snyder, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Orange and Rockland Utilities, Inc., along with Chris Mink from EN Engineering, the project engineers. As you recall, O&R is seeking a special permit site plan approval and a wetland permit to construct a public utility substation facility at their property on Forest Avenue. The property is in a light industrial zone, and currently there are existing transmission lines on this property, so the use is consistent with its current use, and it is permitted by your code. At the last meeting, you asked for the plans to be revised in accordance with Mr. Arnott's memo, which we prepared those revised plans and submitted it. We also submitted a stormwater management report to show there'll be no net runoff from the facility. In addition, we submitted a wetland narrative to show that we met all the wetland permit standards, and we also submitted a visual of the existing substation, which is is in the town currently on Orange and Rockland Road. So we're here to answer any questions you have, I think, and we're hopeful that perhaps our site plan could go forward with the 239M referral that's required. I believe at your last meeting you did make a notice of lead agency, and I believe that was dated March 10th, so we have 30 days on that for the confirmation of the lead agency.
Where is the site plan, if it's been updated? The copy, so I downloaded what we had received. I have the cover letter, the EN response letter, stormwater management, statement in support of wetlands, revised DAF, photo of existing
So
substation.
it was sent, I think it might
it
have been a
separate?
separate email.
Okay.
We submitted hard copies as well.
Yeah, our planning board secretary.
No, I'm really sorry to hear about.
Thanks.
I have an extra set, a hard copy, if that's helpful at all.
It must be in here. So it was a separate,
Pochia, yes.
Dropbox.
There's a couple of sheets on the plan, so
Yeah, it's a lot of
it's hard to make it. Maybe the one PDF is too large.
and it's a big.
Forwarded you the link.
Okay.
Sent you the PD.
At the
I was
PDF?
going to say, I could,
All right, so you had talked about stormwater management was submitted. You had discussed a desire to send it off for GML review. So why don't, while we're waiting for this to come up, Sean, you want to start with your comments?
The applicant's engineer addressed many of my previous comments. I had a couple additional. With regards to the bulk table, the minimum lot area is noted, except that the code requires the net lot area be included in the bulk table, so that should be updated specifically for the wetland deductions as well as any other environmental constraints. Further, the maximum lot coverage has to be based on the net lot area, not the gross. As Ms. Schneider had noted, the SWIP was prepared. Our office is currently reviewing the SWIP and will provide comments. The board last month had asked for a narrative to support the wetlands permit requests. That was submitted. I guess it's up to the board whether or not you want to have Dave Tompkins and CHA review the request and provide any input that you may need. However, I do note that it looks like the applicant's going to proceed as if the DEC is taking jurisdiction of the on-site wetlands, given the recent changes to the state's jurisdiction. So DEC will also be providing comments and has the same 100-foot buffer around those wetlands. One other item with regards to wetlands that we discussed last month was the use of or potential use of pesticides and the transformer oil best management practices that are utilized on the site. I didn't see that in the narrative or on the plan, so just asking that those notes and mitigations be provided on the plans and updated in the narrative. The applicant provided a tree preservation plan, and they identified all the trees and the trees that are going to be removed. Typically, we see a chart identifying the species and whether or not it's, the species, the DBH, and whether or not it's going to be removed. Couple clarifications on the details. I had a few lighting comments. I just wanted to point out that the board typically likes to 27 and 3,000 Kelvin color temperature on the lights. We had referred the landscape plan last month, and we re-referred the updated landscaping plan this month to the board's landscape architect. I had not seen any comments from her yet. The last thing is that we should refer this to the Joint Fire District for review and comment, given the dead end of the driveway and its length.
circulate a seeker lead agency notice after our last meeting. The 30 days hasn't passed yet, so you're unable to assume lead agency status. As has been noted, this does require referral to the county. I had just a couple of comments. So one regarding the wetland buffer impacts. On sheet 20, there's a table showing the different wetland impacts and buffer impacts. I think it would be helpful if the column for buffer impacts could be moved up so that it coincides with what wetland the buffer is related to that's being disturbed. And there are certain Army Corps wetlands that aren't showing a buffer that might be subject to your local buffer. So those might need to be added onto the plan as well. That would be something that your wetlands consultant can advise on. And also, just to clarify whether the buffer impacts are if they're regulated by both DEC or the town, or if there's any that are just one or the other. And then the board does have architectural review, so they did provide an image of the of a similar facility. I think it'd be good, or that you should have elevations, and I know they were going to bring a color sample, so some type of architectural plan that you could be reviewing and ultimately considering for approval.
And starting to my left, Bob? Okay. Jeff?
No comments.
I was driving by there today, I believe, and it looked like there was some activity going on. Is that, I believe I was in this location. Is Orange and Rockland doing anything there at the moment? Because it looked like it had been clear cut, it looked kind of muddy, when I was on this road over here. So I was curious if anything was going on in general.
I believe they are currently doing geotechnical soil borings on the site.
Okay. And was there any permit obtained from the building? Because sometimes we get some kind of land disturbance permit in advance, even if,
He
You know.
typically issue a permit for any work
yes,
site.
I'd like to find that out, because, again, we're in the midst of seeker, so I understand the need to get in and do geotech, but on the other hand, I don't want to see a lot of clear cutting to get in to do the geotech. So I don't know if they're related, but I'd like to know if we have permits, et cetera.
Yes.
Specifically, yes, all wetlands should be shown. What I really want to know is, and what I didn't see in the statement in support, is what kind of wetlands these are. Were there amphibians there? Are they vernal pools? Did I miss that? Because I saw the statement here, right?
In the support letter provided, they're described as seasonally inundated wetlands, so they're not permanently inundated wetlands. They only have the hydrology during certain timeframes. That's, I believe, on the,
I think I'd like to know if they're like palustrin, if they're, again, because they're seasonally inundated, are they vernal pools?
No.
You know, were there amphibians there? Because seasonally inundated could mean a vernal pool. So, you know, what was observed? So normally when we look at wetland function, it's what kind of wetland is it? You know, what is the quality of it? And then what are the impacts to it? So I would like a little bit more information about what's there.
okay, there has been a detailed report that I'm sure we can provide.
Raise the mics.
So
Yeah,
we can provide
that additional detail, because we submitted, obviously, to get the DEC jurisdiction letter, we have more details. We can give you that more detail. We were trying to follow your
Sure.
ordinance as a guide, so
Appreciate that.
not a problem.
Yeah, and that's just also, you know, for seeker, knowing the habitat and what species may be there specific for the wetlands. So with regard to Dave Tompkins, I would say yes. I just need to get an indication from the supervisor in terms of utilizing their services, so I'll get that confirmation. But yeah, I think it'd be good to have a wetland scientist go out to the site just to check it out for specifically the purpose of what kind of wetlands are these as well. So those are my comments. Any comments, Lou?
No comment.
And Dylan, no? Also, just the visual, so sorry. The image in the photo, so are you saying the proposed substation is going to be exactly the same in terms of area, height,
We're going to give you like a...
elevations?
Yeah, we'll give you the elevations.
Okay.
So I think that'll be helpful.
Madam Chairman, when you're
And
referring,
we'll have a visual layout, so you can see it as well.
Okay.
so is it going to look like the one when you get off the exit? It's in Harriman, I believe.
On Orange Rockland Road, yeah.
Not Harriman. Or
By the BMW dealership, am I confused?
You're over by like Larkin Drive, by the BMW. They're talking about over by, when you're by the mobile station in the village of Monroe, like where Crystal Run is.
Okay.
back in that area, there's a substation. And you can see it, I think, from O&R Road.
It's on Owner Road.
By the park and ride.
By the park, if you're going to the park and ride, and you're on O&R Road where the little pond is on the right-hand side, as you're driving toward the big park and ride, it's on the left-hand side, up against close to the rail trail.
I believe so.
Yeah, right, by the rail trail.
Right.
So at this point in time, so you have more comments on stormwater management, we need some more information on wetlands. We'd like some elevations, so I think it's a little premature to go to the county at this point in time for a GML review. Does anyone feel differently? No? No, okay. So I think we just need a little bit more information to be able to, especially with the elevations, I like to see that. And, yeah, so I'd hold off.
Yeah,
So, and we're not lead agency yet at this point, correct? So I don't know that there's much more that we can do this evening.
No, nothing for,
Is there anything else?
I think the only
Us?
thing is, I know Ashley mentioned that we should update that chart on, I think it's sheet 20. The only thing with that chart is that some of the buffers are for buffers of more than one wetland. That's why it was done as a generic
okay.
number. So do we still need to break, it's a little hard to break down, do you get what I'm saying? Because the buffer to one wetland, the 100-foot, is also intersecting the buffer of another one.
Okay, or no, I understand. I guess as long as it's clear then from the plan where the buffer disturbances is showed, and to make sure if there's any of the Army Corps that don't have their federal buffer, but they do have a town buffer, make sure those are all included.
Okay.
And if you could, in the chart, you, I think, call them town and DEC buffers, are they all this,
Yeah,
are they
they're the
regulated
same.
by both?
They're the
Okay,
same.
Yes.
They're the same here.
okay.
And then again, to just provide us some background about what they may be doing in there, if they've removed any vegetation.
Yeah, I think we may have gotten the land disturbance permit, I can't remember, for the soil borings. So
Okay.
I remember speaking to Ben Maldonado about it.
Okay. Follow up with,
Ben,
don't
yep.
mind following up with Ben. All
And
right.
I can let you know, Sean.
That'd be
I was
great.
positive that
If you could forward the permit, that'd be
we took
perfect.
care of that.
Okay, so we'll figure that out once we know land disturbance permit, so, all right. I think that's it for this evening.
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
right.
We will revise the plans and be back. I did bring, I think, Ashley, you asked us to bring the metal, and I guess I could just bring that back. Just what the color.
Was that the
no,
color for the board to
that's
see?
the color and the material. So I'll just bring it at
that's
the
okay.
next
We're good.
meeting, or,
Sure, if the board wanted to look at
I don't know.
the color, the material
May I
that would be
bring this
used?
up?
Can you leave it behind?
Sure, do you want me to put a label on it so someone will know what this goes to?
Yeah, that'd be
Just-
good.
I'll do that. for
Yeah, maybe
next-
include it
okay.
in your next submission,
Okay.
that would be good.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is Tesla charging station at Target. Oh, actually, come on up, sit down. But Leslie, sorry, before you leave, so I think for the trees, our CAC looks at the trees. So when Dave Tompkins goes out, hopefully we can coordinate if you want to visit the site to look at the trees as well with our CAC.
That's the Monroe, the Conservation Commission?
Monroe, who is indisposed? Noreen is, yes.
Could you please speak into the mic, sir, if you're going to?
So Noreen is out. We can send digital copies to you. I'll remember to send a digital copy to you. Okay? And then we'll follow up with the hard copies. Okay? So let the record reflect that Leslie would just like for us to contact them so that they can have their wetland scientist or a person out there at the same time that our wetland scientist is there. Thank you. All right, Tesla.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Franz Gerdes. I work for Tesla. I was here back in January, and Dewberry attended for me in February. Since February, the only real update we had was a clarification on the parking table that Sean had requested. Yeah, and I'm here to answer any questions that were lingering from Dewberry last month.
Sean, comments?
Sure. So on the parking table, I think we should just get on the phone and try to work that out. It was inconsistent with what I had come up with, as well as what actually Casey Lieberman, who was here for the
Yeah.
Target application, she had as well. So if we could just connect on and try to get
The most recent
that.
was, because this we copied from Casey gave us her numbers, and we matched it on that most
They
recent.
were inconsistent on this one, so.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to reflect that 71 excess spaces were taken for the food hall, 15 for the storage containers for Target, so there was an excess of 79. And your application proposes to reduce it by 3, and then Target reduces it, I'm not sure, by 5.
more.
Yeah, because there's a reduction since they're putting those little no parking aisles in, so they're reducing as well. And then this is, I guess, reducing
Okay.
By 3.
by 3, okay.
So we're in agreement, there's still an excess, it's just the numbers didn't match
It's just
up
working out the math.
the lines. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she put a chart on her plan that clearly shows it, right? So if you could
Correct.
look at her chart and kind of just copy it.
And I think she included your 3 spots to be removed as well.
Okay. Okay. Is your phone number in your email signature? I'll just
It
give you a
is,
call
yep,
tomorrow. Okay.
yep.
So there were limited number of comments that you had?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I had a note in here to make sure that the board is okay with the waiver on the parking. Last month, we had discussed whether or not the Tesla symbol on each of the chargers should count towards the signage calculation that is allotted per building based on the width of the building. I've not received, I sent that to him last week, I did not receive a determination on that. However, in my opinion, regardless of whether or not it will be counted or not, it will not affect, or there will not be a need for the signage. And that was really it.
Thank you. Ashley?
So the entity disclosure form, there's a section B that needs to be completed on behalf of Tesla. The board, you did ask for architecturals at your last meeting showing the colors and both sides of the charging stations. I know there's a few different models that are out there, so you'll need, since the board does have architectural review authority, details that can be reviewed with colors for that.
Okay, entity disclosure form side B was missing?
It was section B,
Section
sorry.
B.
That's on the second page.
Got it. Okay, and then the architectural review was for the charge posts, both sides, color?
Any structures that are being
Got it.
added. And your code does require a tree plan, so identifying any tree over 6 inches of DBH that's being removed, and if you're replacing it in kind, if you could, do a table just showing the type of tree that it is,
Yeah,
the
we-
number and type that's being removed, and then what you're replacing them with. I
We
know, I
have
think.
that. We were hoping to hear back from Karen beforehand in case we needed to change anything, but
Okay.
we'll just provide it at this point because we want to get in the ground. Okay, I'll put that as well. You said everything over 6-inch DBH, right?
Correct.
I don't know that I don't think the new tree revisions have been adopted yet, to your knowledge.
No, the sign basically applies. Any tree over 6 inches is a regulated tree protection.
Okay, thank you.
just within the area that you're disturbing, just the ones you're removing.
Okay.
This does also require referral to the county, and you previously classified it as type 2 under seeker, and a public hearing is discretionary.
I think at the last hearing.
It was this one perhaps that you
Yeah.
discussed. Okay, I knew it was one of them.
And I think the one thing that I would like to include as part of a referral is what the Tesla, both sides will
Yeah, they
look like.
The architectural?
Yeah,
Okay.
the architectural,
So
so,
we'll do that before the referral.
yeah, and so I think that, subject to receiving that, I don't know that there's much that's going to change in terms of the site plan. All right, so we'll go through the board, make sure, and then we could talk about next action. So I'll start this side. Dylan, any comments?
No comment.
Lou, any comments?
So I do have a comment. Tesla is, to some people in this country, it's probably not the best time for you guys, right? So I would suggest perhaps maybe not using the word Tesla on these models, just to avoid any possible vandalism. I'm just throwing it out there.
Thank you for the comment.
So, right. That's at your discretion, but understand where your comment's coming from.
Yeah, we don't currently make a model without,
The Tesla, yeah.
unfortunately.
Jeff?
No comments. I'm comfortable so far.
Okay. So then I am comfortable as well. I would like to see what they look like. I don't want it to be super duper big logo.
They're very understated.
Yeah.
So for next steps, like I can probably have those architecturals for you before the end of next week with the rest of these items. Do we come back here again next month before it goes to the county? How does?
Well, so that's what I was going to say. I think if everybody's okay, we can refer it to the county subject to receiving that so that we can move it forward without having to wait for the next meeting. So I'll make a motion that we forward the Tesla at Target site plan to Orange County Planning for GML review, subject to receiving additional renderings of what the charging stations will look like. May I have a second?
Second.
And then, starting with Dylan,
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie France and I.
Jeff Manson, aye.
So that motion carries. Second go off to Orange County. We talked already about public hearing, didn't think we needed it. Seeker, we already determined this was a type 2. So other than that, do we anticipate we might be able to do a resolution for the next meeting? So I will make a motion that we direct our planning board attorney to prepare a draft resolution for this particular application. Of course, it'll be subject to receiving GML review because we can't take action before that, but you can at least start drafting it up. May I have a second?
Second.
And starting with Dylan?
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie France and I.
Jeff Manson, aye.
So that motion carries, so we'll start working on that.
I know for the applicant, it's not 30 days between now and next meeting, or the furthest out meeting, so I just want to make you aware, like,
I'm
that-
going to try to have everything to you guys by Friday.
The
No,
county,
but-
once
but
the
I mean-
county receives everything, they have 30 days to then give their comments. So
Okay.
sometimes they're quick when it's something, not a big project, but sometimes they use that 30 days.
Okay.
And I think now it actually sometimes, they don't even acknowledge receipt right away, so sometimes it could be longer than 30 days, so.
Just don't want to get your hopes.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate it. So would I come back after the county hearing, or does that not really
You-
matter here?
You need the comments from the county before you could get approval, so it likely wouldn't make sense for you to return until you have those.
Got it,
Correct.
okay.
So
And then-
we'll wait to see if we have it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I would ask that, do you have Ashley's?
Yes, that was my next question. So I have Ashley's contact. Do we expect Noreen back too? Should I just send it to both of them?
I,
or-
you could send to both,
yeah.
Okay.
but I think it might be quicker, again, depending on Noreen's schedule, that it get to Ashley so she can move forward and fill out the form.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'll get right on this stuff.
Oh, that's it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great night. All right, meeting adjourned. Oh, you missed that. We thought you left. All right. A new project, KJ Cemetery. Come on up.
Good evening. Joel Mann, Braham and Associates, on behalf of the applicant. Probably if I'm here, it's not simple, so.
Thanks for the heads up.
Again, on this application, I just got involved the last couple of weeks. As the cemetery built a building, I don't know the history, it's at the boundary line with the village and the town. Someone told them that's still village, whatever it is, they built a building, I don't know, a year ago or even more. It was noticed by the building inspector, they got a violation, and I got involved to see what can be done to get this approved, so I researched the code. Now, the use of the building is for the cemetery offices and whatever, conference room, maintenance of the equipment. But if you can see in the plan that the next property, mainly the next property is being used for bus parking lot too. So they used that building for the bus. Basically, it's two non-for-profit organizations. They consolidated to use the same building to maintain the buses too. So researching the code, it's probably that's the cemetery is a permitted use, the bus parking lot is a non-permitted use. So I was trying to work. So first of all, working with the court, we researched the code, we submitted a building permit application, full set of plans to the building inspector, and we got referred to the planning board. I was working on, and still working on that, I hope to get clarification the next week or two, to get off the whole buses from this property. So with that, we are only dealing with the permitted use. It seems to be that it will go well that way, but again, I'm not sure if it will be something different, we'll notify the board. Then we'll probably need to go to, I don't know if the process, if the planning board will need to refer us to the ZBA, I believe, or we'll start with the building inspector. Whatever we'll need to do, we'll follow the process and we'll follow that board too. Again, I know it's probably a use variance rather than an area variance, so that's not simple. But there still might be enough. It's not here for the board maybe to discuss. There is some hardship on it. Again, it's non-for-profit. The next property is being used for that. So I will notify I'm still working, hopefully not to need to go that route to separate that. So for now, the application is to get approved that building for the use of the cemetery. The plan is not, so when I was trying to move quickly, get it into the planning board, still need to update a new updated as-built because the as-built since they did this as-built, what I got, I ordered already a new one that shows a little bit differently the paving. We'll have that at the next submission. And like I said, I want to submit a sketch plan to see what the fundamental issues from the board is so we can get a full set of plans and with all engineering details submitted to you.
So, just to ask a couple questions. So this is Orange County GIS.
Yes.
And obviously this image might be older. This is Google Maps. Is this the building we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay, so this is a new building.
correct.
And it looks like over on this side, over here is what's in the town.
Right, correct.
So they ended up constructing the building in this vicinity, so it's either wholly within or partially within the town.
Correct. I'm still trying, again, the building was based on my measurements on field with the surveyor, but not surveyed, so I'm having a survey to see if
Yeah.
it's, might be closer. I will have it certified by surveyor, the exact location and the exact latest paving.
Well,
It
Based,
seems to be it's fully in the town. Again,
based on near maps, it's completely within the town.
It's completely within the town.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably completely within the town.
so, I mean, if we're addressing this, well, let's start with Sean's comments, and then I'll hit my comments. So, Sean?
Sure. So, as Joel noted, the cemetery use is a permitted use within the zone. There is a section of the code, 5717, that the application will have to comply with. None of that information was provided on the plans or in the narrative, but as Joel said, he'll have to update that on the next submission. Had, additional comments on the bulk table with regards to central sewer versus on-site septic. Joel, is this building on sewer?
No,
No, it's on septic.
not yet, yeah. It
Sorry?
might be, I will check on that to see if I can connect that too. So I'm still investigating that because there's not a close sewer main. It's very interesting. There's no sewer main on the front road. Sewer main goes all the way in the back of the next road, of the houses across the street. So I have a meeting tomorrow with Orange County Sewer to see if I have an available. So I don't want to go through a main approval with extension with DEC. If I can get it through a lateral, I will connect it to that. Otherwise, we'll investigate what they have. They have a system there, but I will probably have to get an as-built on it to see
Right.
what they did, or we'll need to redo it, or whatever.
I had a note that the EAF had a hit for a potentially sensitive area for archaeology, so it have to be submitted to SHPO. Sorry, we talked about sewer, but water, is that provided by the village, or is there an on-site well?
I think the water is connected to village. I will verify that too. I think I got that information already.
Okay.
It's connected. Again, I have to do reverse engineering here, so.
The lighting, is there lighting on site, or is there any lighting proposed?
Didn't propose then. There is lighting on the building, around the building for safety, but I can add that details, the lighting with the exact
Okay.
illumination.
Note about the approval box will have to be added to the plans. And then I was just notified this evening by the board, by the town's prosecutor, Joel had mentioned it was in the courts. So with regards to the parking, you're saying that the parking will continue within, the bus parking I'm referring to, will continue within the village, but it will not be within the town?
That's what I'm trying, like I said at the beginning, I'm trying to push that through. That's where I asked them to give me some time. I will probably know that in the next week or two. If I'm successful in that, we can move forward that path. Otherwise, I will need to go to the ZBA to get a variance for that
Okay.
use.
So at this point, you're looking to try to continue the parking and the repair within the building, the repair of the buses within the building on the site?
I'm trying, so I tried with them not to do that.
Okay.
So my application is not including that yet.
Okay,
And hopefully, like I said, I will be successful. Otherwise, I will notify the board. We'll apply with
The use variant.
We'll update, yes.
that was all.
I got an email from him. I told him that I'm going to discuss that with him tomorrow, my update on that. So.
Okay. No.
Ashley?
What's the size of the building, do you know?
I have it here. It's 60, it's around 61 by 75 and a half. Let's see. It's around 4,500, 4,600 square feet.
Purposes of seeker, it would be an unlisted action. I didn't realize that the building itself hadn't been approved, so I thought maybe reuse, but it also wouldn't fit into that one quite well either. So it is an unlisted action under seeker.
Again, What was the size, did you say?
It's about 4,500.
45, okay.
footprint.
Thank
Footprint.
you.
And there's
Footprint, oh, you
two
mean-
levels.
That is a half of the building, not a half. It's about, let me see, there's another, so 23 by 61. See that? It's another 1,400, so it's about around 6,000 square feet with a second, partial second level. Give you the
It does also require referral to the county under GML. When you're having that survey done, if you could make sure that you do that side yard setback to the eastern property line, so you have it noted as the the village parcel, your arrow showing 480 or so feet, so to show it to the actual parcel property line at whatever the closest spot is.
Okay.
That is, for now, you do have architectural review, so again, I didn't realize the building itself wasn't existing with approval, so essentially you'd be looking at this, you would architecturals as well.
Yeah.
As far as elevations and what the outside
We'll
looks
get
like.
elevations. We'll check if we have, probably we have something on that. Sure.
Elevations, colors, materials, all of that information. As far as action for tonight, you'd be able to classify it as an unlisted action under seeker. I don't know if there's other involved agencies. I think it depends maybe on what's going on with the,
I'd like to
process.
hold off because I don't feel like we have everything. I just think we need to superimpose what you've done
I
on a
understand.
survey
I understand.
so that we know everything that's there. So that's one I would just hold off for a moment because I don't think we have everything yet. And I have some additional questions. Jeff, why don't we start with you?
If we wanted to go out and take a look at the building, I assume the access to that is through what's the bus parking lot off
Yes.
of? Okay, so that's how we would get there off of Scunnamunk.
Right.
Um,
If you want to let me know a date, I can arrange that, whatever.
Okay. The parking for buses, is that for buses that are coming up for visitations or services at the cemetery? Or is it completely a separate use? I'm just trying to understand if it's adjunct to the cemetery or not.
Okay, so the buses, so the whole parking lot in the front and the buses are being used for multiple different reasons. The cemetery and the other religious facilities in the village. So that means the parking lot by itself, when they have big events at the cemetery, the buses are going away, they use the cars. There's multiple times a year, we have thousands of people coming when there's the year when the Grand Rabbis, the day when every year, so that comes out in around typically in August. You have like 40, 50,000 people are coming over, so at that time the buses are gone, and other times in the year. The buses by itself are being used for the cemetery use too, but I can't. It's not like, I'm not here to fake anyone to say that this is the main use of the buses and it's a permitted use, whatever. It's mainly being used to bus the children from the schools around the village. So that's the same bus company that's being used to bus all the children to all the schools. And they are also, so basically what they're trying to use, it's two non-for-profits, they're trying to consolidate as much use as they can on the property to save money. And that's what happened with the maintenance building too. So the cemetery has the maintenance building, it's not being used so much, so they have the bus park not next to it, so they're using it for the buses too. So again, if it's a problem, that's why I'm trying to separate that, because trying to convince them to build a separate one, so we're not getting into an issue here in the village portion. But if not, we'll apply, we'll get the appropriate approvals as needed.
I'm good.
Talked about the is this just for the bus? And is it or for the bus and the cemetery?
At this
Cemetery
point, just for the
maintenance
cemetery.
office building.
The office building is being represented as part of the cemetery, not the bus company.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And yet there's buses being parked on this facility, so the question is, do they need a variance? Because that's not an accessory use of the land associated with the cemetery, even though at times it's used, so,
Or is it a permit?
nor is it permitted
In the-
within
in
that
the
zoning
resident-
district. Okay. I think we need to look at whether there's a wetland and a wetland permit needed if the building was built within the buffer. I want to know what is going on behind this building. There seem to be some accessory buildings, maybe potential uses, so to identify them on a map, anything that's battery or even, I just don't know what they are.
Sure, I will check on that.
Definitely show the stream. If they're wetlands, show the wetlands. How long has this building been in place? What's the date, do you know?
So it looks like the footings were poured on around October 20th, 2021.
Okay, so October.
Okay, you got it from the
Near,
images?
near map.
Near map, okay.
So this has been up for 3 or 4 years, or was being constructed 3 or 4 years ago.
Correct.
Roof was on it April 13th, 2022.
Love near. In terms of the building itself, do you have elevations? You
I think
provided
we have.
plans,
I
right?
didn't I just provided the floor plan, but I think I have a full set of, we recovered the full set of plans for this building, yes. Like
So-
footings, everything.
So how is it being used? What is it being used for in general?
So it's being used for offices, for the cemetery, conference room, and the maintenance building is being used, the maintenance part is being used for cemetery use, but also for the buses now. So that's why I explained at the beginning that I will clarify that next week or two. We hope and we work to separate that, and we hope to be successful. That means that we will have no bus use on that portion of the property. So that portion of the property will only be used for the cemetery use. If not, we will apply for that with the ZBA and whatever. And we'll update the application here at the planning board too.
So in terms of, there's a building here also.
That's a chapel.
That's the chapel? Okay. And so if you're working here, where it says school bus service, let's say this is office for cemetery, if they need to get to the cemetery, this is their access? They're not proposing any new access or anything to get back this way?
No, I don't think so, because they don't need to have it close to, it might be there's an access at one, I think might be an access at this wall, an existing one, but I'm not sure. I will
So
check.
it looked like there was on one of these maps. On this one, it was just showing like a little trail back there before, but I don't know, I thought there was maybe let me pull out here. I thought there was a little bit of a wall.
There is a wall, but should be an opening there too.
Yeah, but it looks like, right, when you get at some point, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I will verify that.
Okay, yeah, just if you have access or are proposing access, if you would put that there. Yeah, I'd like to know, so you said you're on septic, obviously where's the septic if you are?
I ordered that to have, there's a company is doing the underground, they're verifying all the underground, so I'm working on that.
Okay, so if it ultimately you connect to the public, then we would want that closed in accordance with applicable procedures.
Sure. That's required by, Orange County is following that
yes.
procedure too, so.
So, and lighting, if there were lights introduced to the area, we would need to have those approved as well. I'm seeing some pretty high posts here. in this area, but this is an older, I don't know that this particular,
You can see at the.
a little
on the
bit
left,
back there,
The black box, it
Right.
should tell you the year.
2019.
Yeah.
So you had like some kind of trailer here, which was probably for the buses, I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess. So somewhere beyond this is where the building was built.
Right.
How do we deal with, and I guess we can't, it was built, so if trees were removed, we just don't know.
I think the whole area was cleared before that.
Yeah, we'd have to,
Matter, but if you would want to, require replacement or.
replacement tree. Think about whether any landscaping
That-
can go
the
in.
dead people may enjoy the new trees. Just kidding.
They need shade.
I'm sorry, just looking quickly through the photos, it looks like there could have been a few trees that were removed, but predominantly the.
So do we have already for the town of Monroe, so just a bigger picture question. So the cemetery comes on into the town. Was this already previously approved? Is there already a map for that? Or is this something that should get approved since we're dealing with the cemetery building? So that we're essentially giving blessing to whatever's on that lot?
Say that, you mean the
The actual internment area?
cemetery area?
Yeah,
So
as opposed to the building. So if I look at the Orange County GIS, you have this area here that's cemetery. So my question is, was that already previously approved a long time ago, or should we have that approved at the same time so everything gets approved and has legal status? I don't know.
The cemetery location was since 1979.
Yeah? Was it this area
And again,
was?
But I'm not sure where the area was, where the Grand Rabbi, where, did you see the building there?
This one here?
Center? No, at the bottom.
This one?
More to the right side, I'm sorry, it's a small building.
This one?
There.
Okay.
That's where the grave of the Grand Rabbi is. That was established in 1979. There's another cemetery in Raywood that connects to this that was
Yeah.
approved here probably 15 years ago, I don't remember exactly. That's a separate.
I remember that when we were up on Raywood, there was the wall.
So now the boundaries of this one, I'm not sure.
Okay. I think it'd be useful just to check with Ben. This,
I had asked him, and he did not have any prior approved plan
okay,
for it. I believe he had indicated it was a pre-existing, or at least the portion, of the cemetery that's there now, was a pre-existing non-conforming.
exist,
It might be that the initial cemetery at that time was even in the town. I need to look at, this was annexed at that time. So I'm
yeah,
not sure.
it would have, I mean, everything was in the town at one time, right?
Yeah.
And so it may have been in the town. I was just curious whether there was already an approval, and if it's beneficial to just do it now, since we're doing the building. But I think that's a question. I don't know the answer to it. It's kind of like we had Golden Delight, so, but we did find a plan for Golden Delight ultimately, so we were just approving the modifications. Whereas here, I don't even know if there's a plan.
Yeah, when I had asked, he didn't have any plan on file that he was able to find.
Perhaps you can do a little research? Maybe,
I will try.
maybe someone has a survey or there was something filed?
I will do research.
Thank you.
I got a lot of old files from different contractors all over the place in the village, so I have a lot of data.
It's possible something got actually filed with the county.
Maybe subdivided
like
at
a
some
survey.
point.
Yeah. So there may be something that exists. It would just be useful to know.
Try to find some maps there. I remember seeing one time the original plans of that building, so I will try to see like the small rabbis where the
Right.
rabbi's grave is, so.
I mean, from my perspective, because you said it might have been non-conforming, but cemeteries are allowed now in that zone.
Correct.
So we can make it at least conforming status
Mm-hmm.
and just deal with that at the same time we deal with the bus, so that it doesn't come into question.
Right.
So That was my thought, so I think if we could research that.
A special, yeah, just a special permit.
Yeah,
There's those general special use standards, and then there's one additional for cemetery specifically that you could just address.
what was the,
That, well, it's no authorization for a building permit shall be granted by the planning board for a cemetery in any district where authorized unless the board first determines that such cemetery is appropriate to the character of its neighborhood and will serve the interests of the residents of the town without any damaging effect on adjacent properties.
was there?
I believe that's the best. Between two cemeteries is the best place for another cemetery.
I don't know, maybe 30 will come and fuss, but I doubt it.
Who?
The people who live on
Oh,
38
people-
Raywood.
No, they know exactly what they have behind them, so.
So, as I said, I think we could do a little research. Is there a stormwater basin up at the top of this? Do you know what this is? Or, it almost looks like a basin. But it's part of this lot. It's part of this overall lot, but it looks like it's serving something else because the wall comes this way.
Right. I'm not sure. I will check on that.
That's uphill because
Yeah,
Right, that'd be up the top, that would be below.
it might be they
Right.
use it as when they wash out for the water for the day. I don't know.
I don't know.
The village owns the, I'm not sure if the village owns that parcel. The next parcel being owned, the water tower is being owned by the village.
Yeah, it'd be good just to know what the general uses are here on this property.
Okay.
If, I'd appreciate that.
Again, I don't think they will have an issue to get this, like you say, approved it, unless there will come up a lot of cost things that, there's no income on cemetery, so. So, technically, no.
I can rent.
There's a membership, basically, but you can rent the space. If you
Any
want-
other comments, or
If you want to feel rest for a period of time, we can rent the space.
you can hang out there during? Other questions?
I guess I'm still trying to catch myself up. Violations came about. Do we have a C of O for the building? I'm not sure. The building was built for the nonprofit that runs the cemetery,
Correct,
okay? That's what we're trying to resolve.
correct.
Okay. Is there a C of O that has been issued
No.
from the, okay,
No, that's the problem. That's why
Gotcha.
we're-
okay.
Is there a building permit issued?
No, because if there were a building permit, it will probably be probably be approved by the planning board.
Well, yeah,
I think it would have triggered the need for
Yeah.
site plan review at that time.
so I suspect what happened was no one really realized that that was the town. So,
Exactly. That's exactly how it
right.
started.
And so it happened, and then suddenly someone said, wait a minute,
There was a fight between two people, and someone said, I know exactly where the boundaries, you still have, it's still in the village, you're okay.
okay,
And
okay.
after a couple of years later, whatever, when we did, I don't know, when Ben was searching something around the area, he realized that a building popped up.
Interesting.
So he called me at that time. I told him, listen, I was not involved. If I was involved, I would probably tell him where to put the building, not to be in the town. So he contacted the cemetery. It's all, at the end of the day, I got involved again. So now I'm here to fix someone's mess, so.
Got it. So I think for now, we're gonna get another iteration of the plans before we move forward. And then, Ashley, if you could research a little, do we even need to deal with the cemetery or not? And we'll look into whether there's already
Right.
an approval or
History.
a survey somewhere along the
Right.
line. And we'll go from there.
Thank you
Back on the
very much.
agenda. Great,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much. Have a good
Joel,
night.
if I can have a little bit of latitude, Bonnie. I'm just curious, how's the progress on the second girls' school? It looks like it's come a long way. Is it open yet?
Yeah.
It is.
Second girls' school is open, sure.
I
Yeah,
wasn't positive.
as a CMO.
Okay.
Yeah, finally, it's there. It was a big push. They made a major finishing campaign, so they raised a couple $1 million to finish it, so.
I saw the lettering go up on the building not so long ago, and
The what,
the lettering on the
Oh, the
outside of the
lettering,
building went up recently, and
Exactly, yeah. So they're good, yeah.
great, thank you.
Planning ahead for the other ones, so.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Good night. Anything you'd like to address beforehand, or any questions before we hit minutes?
No, just understand the situation.
If you could just go on the mic, sorry. We'll get hollered at.
Hello, is this one working? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Fordham, Conservation Commission. No, some time ago I asked Noreen to just copy me on all plans so that I can at least be forewarned before I come to the meeting. Now, I understand she's now sick
Now,
sometime.
out on leave, so she should be back, we thinking around the 24th.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
so she's, and I think it's been about 3 weeks now, maybe 4, at least 3.
Yeah, that
So-
makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
I'm bad with
always
time.
difficult to get plans. I mean, that's
Yeah,
been a
I'll-
challenge for some time.
I'll express that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's all. So I'll send you an email in any case, because you're going to send me those plans?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Very
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's it. I think we're going to go through some minutes. So if you want to head out, you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Oh, Bob's back. Just in time for minutes.
Who does that? Yeah. Aren't you the lucky one?
But this is good because it may have been a problem if you weren't here, depending on. All right, so let's see here. Thank you. So let me get back to agenda. Oh, no.
So I could-
I'm going to start with 7/11/2024. Myself and Pat is out, Jeff is here, Dylan's here, that's 3. Members that are absent can approve if they've read it and comprehend it. I did send this out. Bob or Lou, do you feel comfortable enough to vote on this?
I do.
All right. Anybody have any comments? All right, so I will make a motion that we approve the July 11th, 2024 minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
All right. Starting with Dylan?
Dylan, aye. Lou Rivera, Lou Rivera, do I abstain or?
Reviewed it, you can vote
No,
on
I
it.
abstain.
Bonnie Franson, aye?
Jeff Manson, aye.
Up Garstek, aye.
Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the next one is, so that was July 11th. I don't see June 13th in here, although I knew.
That's the one I'm still working on.
Oh, that's the one you're working on, okay. And then, so July is done.
I'm hoping to have it done by the anniversary.
Great. So September 12th and 17th, I think, are yours? The September ones? I believe so. I had here. All sent. But, all right. Hangs Yanzi. All right, so September 12th and 17th. I thought those were yours, Jeff, because I was out. So let's go to December 12th. Okay. Twelfth. Myself, Jeff, we had a full house, except for Bob. So we can vote on these. I made edits. I did send them around. I'll make a motion that we approve the December 12th minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and Dylan, starting with you.
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie Francis, aye.
Jeff Manson,
Bob Garstak, abstain.
Sorry, who did the second?
I did.
12-12, and 12-17. This other, we had myself, Jeff, and Lou, and Bob and Dylan were out. Bob and Dylan, do either of you feel comfortable to vote on this?
I do.
You did? Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the December 17th minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so that. Starting with Dylan.
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie Francis, and I.
Jeff Manson, aye.
Bob Garstak, abstain.
Great. Go to 9th. January 9th, we had myself, Jeff, Dylan, and Bob and Lou were out. Do either of you feel comfortable voting on the January 9th minutes?
I do.
Bob or Lou, would you feel comfortable or no? Yes. You feel comfortable? Okay. So,
Starting January, don't we? 3 votes, 1.
oh, that's right.
Right.
Yes, yes. Sorry.
3 is a quorum, but, I mean,
Yes.
more votes better, but we've crossed the threshold on this one.
Yes. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the January 9th, and these are all as amended. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Dylan, starting with you.
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie France and I.
Jeff Manson, aye.
Bob Garstak, abstain.
Did you make the motion? Yes, you can make a motion. All right, so we had myself, Lou, and Bob, so we can vote on this, absent Jeff and Dylan. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the February 13th, 2025 minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Dylan Penn, aye.
Lou Rivera, aye.
Bonnie France and I.
Jeff Manson, abstain.
Bob Garstak, aye.
Okay. And I think that was the last, we didn't get the second meeting minutes for February, we only got the first. We did December, we did January. I looked, we had approved actually November, so that's why that's not up here, I'm pretty sure. And then we have 2 Septembers we still have to get to, and then a June. So let me just make sure.
You're going to work on the March 13th one?
I have to work on, well, March 13th, I wasn't here.
Right.
So hopefully Noreen can work on that one. I'll attempt to work on this one, just because.
Okay, and then she'll,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I added it to my list.
perfect. Yeah, I thought that I included the. Yeah, so 613 was definitely yours, and then 912 and 917. Okay?
I'll find those.
If you need them, let me know and I can send them to you. I just put your name on it so I'd remember. All right, anything else we have to address this evening? Nothing? Everything's under control? Okay. If someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, we've got Bob. May I have a second?
Second.
Lou, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.